Hello, everyone. Welcome to this message. As our first card today, we get the green woman. And then the next two cards are, let's see, the fairies of the future. It's been a long time since we've seen that one. And there's also another card that we hardly ever see. Um, and Fat the Footer is coming after that. Let's see. And as the overall energy, we get openness to receive. This appears again. The reason for this is pretty much just because it looks like an ear. This image. There's not really a memory connected, so not every card has a memory connected, but most of them do. Um, and then we have the sun as well. So let's see. So there's something about that that you are open to receiving sunshine, right? So you're open to receiving sunshine in your life. On the card itself, it says sunshine. Sunshine gives us power and strength. Everything is going better than expected. The sun brings us in a good mood. She sh- she's, she shines upon evil and good. So let's see. So it's kind of like that makes me think about that Bible verse about that it rains on everyone equally, something like that. That it rains equally. So that life is fair, pretty much, right? But anyway, so maybe in the upcoming time, maybe life will be fair for once. so maybe life will be fair for once. You may see that you are doing much better than expected. So, and that you may be in a good mood as well. It could be because it's on this card, right? It makes me think just about you're open to receiving sunshine. So you're open to receiving, or it's definitely something positive in your life, right? A positive future. Let's see. And we have the green woman. So this is a card of natural growth. So a growth that comes because something is totally you, that something that is that just grows itself. It doesn't require any kind of marketing, or it just kind of happens through some kind of divine unfolding because it's meant to be, right? Because it's meant to be and it's totally you and you have like a natural talent for it. So it could be something like that, or it could be just because the conditions are right, for example. The timing may be right. The literally the conditions, even if these are internal conditions, like the conditions are right at this moment. So and this woman is also like a wild, she's embracing her wild nature. So that could be the conditions in and of itself, that you are embracing that you're not allowing yourself to be tamed by society or by people or anything. So this could be the condition in and of itself, right? Because you are so naturally you, you're doing something that you're naturally gifted at, that you are naturally inspired. Yeah, something that naturally grows, right? It gives natural inspiration. And then we have the fairies of the future. So I do think that you are about to be moved into a different timeline, perhaps. And also, like, there's something about that you should not consider. There's something that you, because it's usually is a card of like, don't consider that. And let's, like, as you are considering that, I'm going to take you out of that, the angels would say, right? Like, we're going to be putting you in a completely different reality. We're going to get you out of here, right? So it could be that as you are still contemplating some kind of a decision, you're like, I don't know, should I do this? Should I do that? What kind of path should I take? And then life already unfolds and like makes it abundantly clear to you, because that's also kind of like natural growth, right? That life makes it abundantly clear to you, like, okay, this is the direction I clearly need to be going into, because this is like growing naturally, right? It's going really easy, and everything is aligned as well with the sturdy tree at the top. And then we have the footer. So it means that you have been. Usually, this means that you have that you need to recover a little bit because you've been on a marathon kind of journey, or you have had a very tough life, and you need to like relax a bit. And recently, the bare feet have become like a correlation with completely being yourself and being hurt by the fact that you were yourself, right? Being punished or for being yourself, these kinds of things. And now you don't have to consider that anymore. So it could be that you're being taken out of a situation where you don't have to, like, there's some kind of natural growth that will happen where you're naturally being taken out of a situation where you, and the situation, this new timeline, this new future is a timeline where you can just completely be yourself, realize your most insane ideas, for example, where you are just doing something that you're naturally talented at, and like it unfolds, it just unfolds, right? So something like that could be the case. Or we're considering something like some kind of a decision, like should I do this, should I do that, and then through some kind of, like, the way things unfold, it becomes very clear, like, okay, the like I'm getting green light on this one, right? Like, this is the direction I need to go into, right? So let's see. And then we have, so God could be speaking to your circumstances, most definitely. And then we have the Dark Lady. So the card of suppression, um, which is very interesting underneath the Green Woman, right? So like your natural, this was being suppressed. Um, Maybe also because it sometimes makes me think about the Tuatha De Danann, right? Like the fairies who are actually ancient gods, who are actually like the druidic uh, ancestry like stems from. So it, and these there's like this story, right? This ancient story where the fairies, they're like the ancient gods, right? They went into hiding, right? They went into under the ground and like formed the hills. So it makes me think about that sometimes as well, because it looks a little like she's underneath the hill. It's like she's forming the hill a little bit. So it could be that you have been that your natural magic has been hidden, that um, your natural supernatural abilities, you could say, could have been hidden. Um, Yeah, these were like people who were said that they had godlike qualities, right? So it could be that there's something supernatural, some kind of an ability, a magic, a supernatural ability, that went underground, that went into hiding, and now all of a sudden it's reappearing again. So it was being suppressed by something. Could be a dark feminine as well. It could be lately this has been, sometimes it has been the concept of the dark feminine, quite literally, like a dark feminine archetype or a dark mother archetype. But it could also, it recently, very recently, has come to um, signify the idea of like people that should be there for you, that are seeking to hold you back, that are not wishing the best for you, right? That actually are supposed to wish the best for you. So you could have been dealing with that, and it could have been related to judgment as well. But again, like you are seeing that you're being called out, you're being called out of this situation. So you're being called out of a suppressive situation, or you're being called away from judgment, away from so kind of like move yourself away from judgment, move yourself away from this person, move yourself away from this dark motherly archetype or this dark feminine archetype that is presenting itself in likely a female character, right? Or like this person doesn't want the best for you, so like move away from that. You're being called out of that, so called away from something, which is very similar to this at the top, right? This is also a very similar image of like you just being yourself, and you're being naturally called away from a situation, you being your expressing your natural talents, and like moving into a different timeline, being taken out, which is very similar to like this, by being called out. So called out and moved away from, and there's a calling on your life and you need to get there, right? So it relates to that. And then we have the Lady of the Harvest. Lady of the Harvest makes me always, usually it talks about like the rotten fruit in your life that needs to be taken out, the ticks in your life, right? Those people who are draining your energy, and yeah, you're being called away from something, and sometimes it's also being called towards a harvest, right? Your harvest, that could also be that as well. But most definitely, it's very interesting because it's kind of the same image in a sense, because this one is like moving away. So maybe you were slowly moving away from something, and then your feet hurt, and then you're being taken out of a situation. So maybe you have returned to something, perhaps. Could be the case, because that could be this, right? So it could be like you were your natural self, you were expressing your natural talent. Maybe you were starting to tap into some of your natural supernatural abilities or some natural magic or something. And you and then you were reconsidering being yourself. Perhaps you were reconsidering something, you were taking advice, or you were listening to people's judgments, whatever it may be. And then you are taken out of that, and it's like immediately you you meet this like being hurt. So it could be that you were considering and you immediately got the consequences, considering consequences, right? Which also is seeking to move you away and out these consequences that you are getting. It could also be here, right? Like it's a very similar idea, like the judgment, the suppression. Some it's like people who do not want the best for you, that actually should be wanting the best for you. And then you're being called out, which is very similar, like the angels, right? Like you're being called out, and then you immediately get uh, drained. Could be something about that you are getting drained, you're being called out and you're getting drained. Could this also be the suppression in and of itself, that you are being called out of a situation and you immediately encounter a situation where you are getting drained? That there is something more here? This is being put into recovery, really. You should see it like that. So, like, it's like being taken out of a situation, you becoming your natural self again, expressing your natural talents, um, having a natural unfoldment, natural growth, return of your natural, like supernatural abilities and natural magic and these kinds of things. And then have a time of recovery, right? You're being taken into a time of recovery. So maybe I think that that's what this is, that you're being taken into a time of recovery by the angels, that you're being in alignment with this time of recovery, and that because you're well on your way, it seems, right? So you can now recover. But here we see it more like you're being called out of a suppressive situation and into a harvest, perhaps, but also perhaps into a quite a draining situation, which comes immediately after the calling, being called away from and being drained directly afterwards in terms of warfare, right? So let's see, and then we have Ilby the Retriever, which definitely is another indication of you returning to yourself. So there's something to that. So this green moment has something to do with you returning to yourself and also to your natural expression, to your natural wisdom, and these kinds of things. And then we have the messenger, the writer, and guru, life coach, lots of energy. So this makes me think about, as you are returning to yourself, you're gaining more and more energy, just a little bit like a battery, right? Like you are becoming like recharged, perhaps. Maybe you are getting more electrified, which makes me think like yeah, like what we were talking about yesterday, right? Um, there's something about alchemization as well. So you're alchemizing something negative into something positive. And this says, being carried by a fast wind, the rider will quickly bring his message, something like that. And this message, no, will this message please us, or do we have to complain about our fate? So there's most definitely a message that is coming your way. There is a message that is coming your way, but it could be something negative or positive, it seems. These are like two different timelines, I guess, right? In a sense, you could see it as two different timelines. This would be calling you into a draining situation, this oppressive force, and this is the angels calling you into recovery. And no second guessing yourself and staying on this path that you are on, right? So if you take the wrong path, if you reconsider, or if you take advice, or if you consider people's judgments, then you will be on this other path where you will be complaining about your destiny, right? About your fate. So interesting. And then underneath everything, we have jokes and making fun of someone. Then we have taking the self. So this talks about like looking at things from a really, really high perspective, and sometimes also taking a 360 into another direction. And being triggered as well could also sometimes be the case, because sometimes I see her putting her fingers in the socket and like being electrified, right? So it could be maybe even this could talk about this electrification of your field again, raising in vibration, these kinds of things, but it could have something to do with literal electricity, perhaps. And there's also something about the road here. So if you take these together, then this seems to be a trap that you are about to, you're on a crossroads in life, and it is a trap. Like there is, like from a higher perspective, you can see a trap up ahead. So you need to maybe be warned that there is a demonic trap up ahead that you need to be careful about. Um, and it's very interesting that today I did a message about a crossroads. My clients was on a crossroads. So could that have something to do with that? It had to do with that a choice is rarely, usually people don't really know which choice they are actually making, what crossroads they are actually on, and they also don't know that that one decision is likely not one decision, but a series of decisions that will be following. So that a crossroads is rarely just a decision. It is a decision that will be continued by similar decisions going towards road A or road B, right? So maybe if you take the wrong direction, could be that, right? If you take the wrong timeline, if you like step into this wrong timeline, then maybe it could be that there are traps and that that there is going to be demonic warfare, and that the demons are going to be laughing with you, right? It could be um, that you fall flat on your face or something. There's something about that if you take the wrong direction, this will be pro demons, right? That's the demonic road, I guess. And then there is this other road that you could also take. So it's very important that you take a road that is in alignment, because it also says 22 there. So you need to take a road that is in alignment. So stay also with this dog, stay true to yourself, right? So stay true to yourself and make sure that the road you are taking is in alignment. And I do think that the right road is a road where you're going to be taken into a state of recovery. So it could be perhaps that you're going to be guided into a vacation time. Could be. And there's also this other road that will be quite draining to you. So maybe you can energize, returning to self, right? One road. One road is energizing, it is returning to self, it is recharging perhaps because it is a battery, right? A lemon is a natural battery. So that could be that. And the other would be draining. The other journey is draining. It's a trap. So as soon as you notice yourself getting drained, I do think like you're going in the wrong direction. But the angels are seeking to bring you into alignment towards recovery, to take the other path, right? So which will likely be recharging in nature, energizing in nature, returning to self in nature, alchemizing a negative situation into a positive situation. So making a 360, right? Going in a different direction, the direction you're, or no, it's like literally a crossroads. It's kind of funny. Like you need to, there's something about a direction, right? Like you need to take it, literally, you need to take an exit, right? So there's something about that you're on a crossroads and you need to take, you see, you need to take this avenue, right? So when you're on the crossroads, you have to go this way, not that way. So it means that you are on a crossroads. And also you could see it a little bit as a bend as well. So maybe you also need to listen because it makes me think about an ear, right? You need to listen. She's the sun shines on both the evil and the good, so it could literally go in any direction. Makes me think about that. Like it could go in any direction. You need to listen. You need to listen to God, right? You need to listen to the light and let it guide you. And if you take the wrong exit, right, like on this crossroads, if you go on this one road, if you take the wrong bend, like quite literally, this is a bend in the other direction, right? So like this and like that. So there are two different roads, and one road will make you more electrified, perhaps as well. It is the right road that will energize you, and the other road, and it will increase your vibration, things like that. And the other road is going to lead into a trap. That's very, very clear, right? There's a banana peel up that road, right? Let's see what's on there. The road, the life's journeys are straight or crooked. Which one is correct and which one is stupid? One road crosses another. Will it change our lives? One road crosses another. Will it change our lives? So I do think, for example, as well, um, if you are doing messages for people, for example, be very, very careful that the because this also relates to the crossroads, right? So be very, very careful that it doesn't take you in another directions. For example, if you are sharing messages with a client, for example, and don't mistake it for your own energy, right? And maybe make a decision that you wouldn't normally have made. So be very careful. So for example, I would suggest something like because it's based on the discernment I was picking up on earlier, that you may want to like first, for example, if this is going through video chat, for example, like do the video chat or call your client or send them, your client, a message and wrap that up so that the energy is like literally it's kind of this here. So wrap that up because otherwise I do think that you might get influenced. So if you would, for example, like go and do something, you might do something differently, or you might make different decisions as a result of you picking up on their energy. So be very, very careful about that. That you are in your own vibration. This is also what this is talking about. That you're in your own vibration so that you are in the right alignment to take the right direction, the right to go right instead of left, right? It's also very interesting that this wrong path has a split path as well, so it leads to inner conflict, indecision, something. So maybe there could be something here, and this is very, very positive to know. If there is an inner conflict and indecision on this other path, which is similar to this one, like it's only a matter of tapping in and being like, hey, I'm kind of innerly conflicted about this. I'm indecisive about this. So you know, like, okay, this is not some, this is influence. This is not my actual decision. This is not a decision I or wrote or an action step or things I would be saying if I would have been myself, right? I wouldn't have been going into this direction, or if I hadn't been influenced, I wouldn't have done this, right? So that's maybe also like an indicator, like a warning light to say like you're going in the wrong direction. Don't consider this. Go and like stay on path, right? Stay on path and don't make a bend in your path, I would say, right? So stay on path, you're in alignment, just keep on doing what you are doing now, and don't reconsider your decisions, don't reconsider your path. Yeah, the decisions you had made previously, the vision you were having, like keep going in that direction. So maybe there is something that is seeking to call you in a different direction that will lead in disaster, that will lead into failure. So don't take others' advice. Don't be influenced. Don't change your path. Don't change your perspective. Don't change your decisions, right? Don't reconsider anything, also including yourself. Don't reconsider just being yourself and just walking your path the way you're walking right now. So don't start self correcting or something. It's very important. So I'm wishing you a very, very beautiful day ahead. And bye bye.